Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today's big question. Why did the Romans invent the guillotine? Okay, so the Romans didn't actually invent the guillotine. That dubious honor goes to the French. But what if they had? And to do that, we need to start with the backgrounds. So let's talk about background information, shall we? What is it, and why should you care? Well, according to Samuel Wills in his book Everyday Life in Ancient Rome, a gladiator was a professional fighter who performed in public. When it comes to ancient Rome, this could include geography, culture, politics, religion, you name it. And without it, your research is doomed to fail faster than the last guy who tried to bugle battle against a T-Rex. The year is 80 AD, the place is Rome. You are about to witness the greatest special event in the history of special events. All right, gladiators, let's start with you guys. You see, this passive form of capital punishment only requires one person to operate it. Unless, of course, you want to count the gladiator's psychological edge. See? The whole point of the gladiators is that they're supposed to be terrifying. They're supposed to strike fear into the hearts of their opponents. And there's nothing that says scary like a guy in a ratty old loincloth with a pointy hat made out of human skin. So while the gladiators may not have won the bugle battle, they definitely won the war. And instead of spending hours hacking away at people, it can take their lives in seconds. All it takes is one strong pull on the lever, and gravity does the rest. Plus, you don't need to worry about missing because unlike a sword, gravity doesn't miss. It doesn't matter if the target is fast or slow, moving or stationary, prepared or not, gravity will bring the blade down on their neck. Finally, unlike the gladiators, the galloping glass doesn't get tired. It doesn't matter if it has to kill 10 people or 10,000 people. The galloping glass will do the job in the exact same amount of time. First off, can you even kill someone from a distance? Well, as it turns out, yes, we can. And to prove it, I went to the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., and found this beautiful little etching of a gladiator named Croesus. That's right. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss a new episode. It's free. It helps out the channel. And you can always change your mind later. You can even like and share this episode if you really liked it. And if you didn't, well, you can always tell me why in the comments below. Just make sure you're polite. Remember, a bugle battle can be won on the playing field, but the real war is won in the comments section. So go on, give me all the feedback. Thanks for watching. Now Croesus has a trident and a net. He's wearing armor. His shield is up, and he's running towards his opponent with reckless abandon. And yes, while he's doing all of that, he's yelling, "Beware my mighty net. If I catch you, you'll regret it." And while you probably can't hear him over the roar of the crowd, what if he could throw his net from far enough away? Let's assume he can reach about half the distance between them with his net. And let's assume that the other guy has no armor, so catching the net would mean instant death. Then that leaves a radius of 25 feet for the galloping glass to stand outside of and still be safe. But wait, there's a problem. The Colosseum seats over 50,000 spectators, so the galloping glass would have to repeat this process nearly 60,000 times before anyone was dead. Basically, this means that while the gladiators could certainly kill from a distance, it would take a long time to kill everyone. But speaking of bugle battles, let's get back to the topic at hand. Take, for instance, this fresco of a gladiator fighting a bulla. Now, a bulla is a type of short sword. So this guy is literally in arm's reach of his opponent. And it gets even closer for our buddy here. And that's great news for the gladiators, because as we all know, the shorter the distance, the more effective a sword tends to be. But remember, not all gladiators are the same. There were different types of gladiators, each with their own fighting style and weapon of choice. Some were heavily armored, while others wore virtually nothing. Some fought with swords, while others preferred nets and tridents. The main point is there were a lot of different ways to be a gladiator, which means there's a lot of different ways to kill someone. But it seems like the most effective would be up close and personal with a sword. So assuming that each gladiator has a sword and the crowd isn't too thick, it seems like the gladiators could kill around 50,000 people in under 3 hours. That's impressive, but it pales in comparison to the gallows. Because understanding the context of your topic allows you to better analyze your sources. Let's take gladiators, for example. To understand them better, we need to know how they fit into the culture of ancient Rome. So we learned that in ancient Rome, gladiators were a form of entertainment, a diversion for the masses from their everyday lives. They fought to the death in the Colosseum, the largest amphitheater ever built. And they fought in front of thousands of spectators who placed bets on the outcome of the fights. Knowing this helps us to understand why there were so many gladiators. It was a form of entertainment. There was a demand for these fighters and an ample supply of willing participants. Now that's a pretty straightforward definition, but definitions aren't always that clear-cut. Sometimes you'll have to infer them from the context of your reading. Like say you're researching the Cold War, and you come across the term détente. It's not a word, you know, so you look it up and find that it refers to the easing of Cold War tensions in the 1970s. In that case, you inferred the definition from your research, and since you can't just define every single word in your paper, you'll want to familiarize yourself with common terminology related to your topic. This will ensure that you understand the context of what you're rereading and allow you to analyze and interpret your sources more effectively. Well, background information includes everything you need to understand your topic, but doesn't include your actual thesis or argument. It's the historical data, the definitions, those kinds of things that help your reader or viewer understand your topic fully. And while it might seem obvious that you need this kind of info to write about something, it's not always easy to find. But don't worry, I got you. Let's look at this background information through 3 different lenses. What if instead of the sword, the executioner's go-to tool was a big old metal chopping block? We'll start with data. Now this can be anything numerical related to your topic. For example, when writing about gladiators, you may want to know how many there were, where they came from, maybe how much they made an hour. That's data. And the most important thing about any data you use is that it's accurate. If you're using numbers in your paper, they better be correct. Otherwise, your whole argument could come crashing down like the Colosseum after an earthquake. Also, make sure that your data is relevant. You don't need to include every single number you find on your topic. Only include the ones that help you prove your argument. And lastly, think about where your data comes from. Is it from a reputable source? Does it have a publication date? These are things you'll want to keep in mind when determining the validity of your data. How would that have changed the whole Roman world? Well, today we're going to find out because history professors are about to battle it out in the name of science. It's Gladiators vs. Gallows. Which one's actually more effective at getting people killed? Let's bugle battle. It's me. Now before we jump into the blood sport itself, we need to figure out our gladiators from our gallow glasses. Okay, so let's get the boring stuff out of the way first. Moving on to definitions, let's stick with our gladiator example. What exactly is a gladiator? Okay, finally, let's talk about context. This is where you consider all the details surrounding your topic. In short, background information sets the stage for your topic. It's the foundation on which you build your argument. Okay, now that we've got the background info squared away, let's get into the Gladiator vs. Gallows bugle battle. But then again, a large part of a gladiator's job is fighting up close and personal. That's because while the gladiators have to individually dispatch each person, the gallows can do it all at once. So in the end, the winner of this bugle battle is the gallows. Speaking of winning wars, let us talk about how you can win a bugle battle of your own by subscribing to this channel.